Welcome back, Canada. In today's report, I got the most viral news that will absolutely make you go speechless. Mark Carney got his majority, but that's actually not the biggest news. I have an absolutely hilarious gift for you if you like to laugh. Let's get into this report. Today, we learned that Mark Carney has secured his majority government, but that is actually not the biggest story. The biggest story is nobody showed up. Nobody showed up to vote. Only 33% in Toronto by-elections. That's a 50% decrease from the last election. People just didn't even show up. In Terrebonne, which was a lot closer between Bloc Québécois and Liberals, only 50% turned out to vote. A significantly lower amount. This just shows that Canadians have completely given up on Canada's democracy. They're looking at it saying, why should I even bother vote? They're just going to cross the floor.
Well, turnout is historically lower in by-elections, and there's an interesting story to tell this time. Marianne, how many people actually showed up to vote?
Well, the numbers were quite strong, especially when you look at the past numbers of by-elections. It's not that far off when you consider voter apathy, like dealing with so many elections in such short periods of time. I'll get to that in just a moment, but we'll break it down by riding, starting with Scarborough Southwest first. When you look at the numbers, we've been comparing the numbers from last night's by-election according to Elections Canada, comparing them to the general election in 2025. And you can see just over 28,000 people voted, representing 33% of the registered voters in that riding. Comparing it to the numbers from the general election in 2025, the numbers are a little bit lower, but again, that's not unusual. Close to 26,000 fewer votes cast, about half the number of people who voted in that riding in 2025. University Rosedale, you can see the number there, just over 31,000 people cast their ballot, representing 32% or close to 33% of those registered to vote in that riding. A little bit lower than what was reported by Elections Canada in 2025. Almost half the number of people who voted in 2025 came out last night. And then looking at Terrebonne, this is where Tatiana Auguste was elected last night. Just over 46,000 people cast their ballots, representing about 50% of those registered to vote in that riding. And then it is lower compared to what was in 2025. This year, about 14,000 fewer votes compared to those who came out during the general election last year. But again, not unusual, David, when we look at just the trends, particularly when it comes to by-elections.
That is catastrophic. People are looking at these by-elections to say, why should I bother wasting my evening and voting? Of course, CBC is going to say, oh, completely normal. This is completely normal. Do you believe this is completely normal? 3 out of 10 possible voters showed up to vote in Canada's democracy. Today in a press conference, a reporter asked, do you believe that Pierre Poilievre should step down now that he lost all 3 by-elections? First of all, what kind of question is that? These 3 by-elections, the Conservatives had 0 chance. You could see how the bought and paid for media just wants him to go. Why would they want Pierre Poilievre to go? He's obviously a threat to the Liberals. They would love to see him go, but let's just see what Mark Carney has to say.
If you were Mr. Poilievre, would you quit today?
I don't. That's an unfair question.
That smile says it all. He would love to see Pierre Poilievre quit, because if Pierre Poilievre quit, who would replace him? The Conservative Party would be completely annihilated. I bet you if Pierre Poilievre stepped down, Mark Carney would call a snap election immediately and get a super majority, like completely wipe out the Conservatives. So that smile is like, yes, please, Pierre, quit.
I can't look into the heart of Mr. Poilievre. I respect him as a parliamentarian, as I do the other leaders of the other parties, and we'll continue. I'll continue to work with him and all parliamentarians, as will my colleagues, to advance the interests of Canadians.
Next
Thank
question. Question.
Morning, Tonda McCharles, Toronto Star. Pierre Poilievre called you badly educated in economics, and
Did he?
He did.
Wow.
So I'd like to hear a little bit about...
Can I take back my previous answer? No, that's a joke.
Was it a joke?
You can respond to it if you wish.
I don't think it was a joke. I think he's like, yes, I got an exit plan. This next story is going mega viral across Canada, published just a few hours ago, and it's at 175,000 views just on one account. It's being reshared by everybody. This is completely unbelievable. This girl has been banned from the University of Guelph campus for life. She can never go back to just for being in the vicinity of her family members' conversation with a group of people. The campus safety officer felt that what they were talking about was sufficient enough to ban her and her family members for being anywhere near the University of Guelph property forever. Canada, we are in big trouble. Check this out.
I just got banned from the University of Guelph for life. No joke. As a result of your actions on March 6, 2026, this letter serves as a notice of trespass. You are therefore prohibited from entering all University of Guelph properties. This prohibition is in effect for an indefinite period from the date of this letter. What did I do to get banned from Guelph for life? Well, on March 6th, about 7 o'clock, I was in the parking lot with a member of my family. This member of my family started up a conversation with some Middle Eastern girls in the car beside me. That conversation was about the war in Iran, and apparently that conversation was unwelcome. It wasn't said that it was unwelcome at the time, but afterwards we learned that conversation was unwelcome. It was reported, and both the member of my family and myself are now banned. I did not take part in this conversation. I was in fact quite physically removed, although I heard it. I was about 10 feet away, and I still heard the conversation, and as a result, I am banned. Who knew? You can actually get banned from a university for listening to an unwelcome conversation in Canada. This is just great stuff, guys.
How is it possible that you get banned for life from a university for just listening to a conversation? What's your thought on this, Canada? I have never heard anything like this in my entire life. Last night, we got some news that Durham police is searching for evidence after a home invasion in Ajax, Ontario, where it appears that the homeowner is no longer with us and the suspects have fled on foot. This type of thing happens way too often in Canada. We need this to stop. March 16th of this year, Doug Ford came out with a press conference saying that Canada is unrecognizable in the last 5 years under this Liberal government. Things need to change. He was fighting hard to allow people to use pepper spray in order to stop these home invasions. Will that make a difference? Let's take a look at this press release to remember what Doug Ford said.
This country's changed big time in the last 5 years.
Mr. Premier, Josh Morano,
Hi, Josh.
CTV News. I'm just wondering, you touched on a little bit during your speech. I'm wondering if you could expand on a little bit the request to let people carry and use pepper spray. Is this something that citizens are pushing for right now?
Yeah, they are. What I understand, it's quite popular. But matter of fact, it's happening right now. Let's be honest. There's a whole bunch of people out there with pepper spray, but people feel vulnerable. Maybe I'm a little biased because I have 4 girls and my wife that do not feel safe walking at night. It's as simple as that. Can we give them something to defend themselves, to get away? 100%. Because people, I'll speak for Toronto and the GTHA, people aren't feeling safe out there. They're hearing about home invasions. They're hearing about not being safe on the subways. They're hearing that people are just walking through stores, costing us $4.5 billion of theft. Just, what is Ontario and Canada coming to? Like, imagine that, just going in to Best Buy, a Home Depot, a Walmart with a cart and just walking out. That has nothing to do with pepper spray, but we're going to take care of that problem too. We're going to have proper security that can actually arrest people, because these poor security guards too are sitting there and saying, I'm helpless. Or walking in the LCBO with a cart and walking out. This has to stop. It starts with petty crime like that. Then it gets more serious. I had a community meeting with some folks at my house over the weekend. They're terrified to be left at home. Their wives and their kids are terrified to be left at home. because there's home invasions happening, kicking doors in. 4 or 5 guys walk in with guns. One guy just got shot in the leg trying to protect his family. We need to use every tool that you have at home to protect your family. And that's what we need to do. So we need to make it legal, and that's up to the federal government. If you care about securing communities, care about women walking alone, approve this. Approve DNA, too, sampling. For sexual assault, someone gets sexually assaulted, you could solve the crime pretty quick like that if we had DNA from these criminals. I'm just sick and tired of all the violence and the criminals and the crime that's happening. Our country has changed over the last 5 years. It's unacceptable, and we have to rein it in really, really quick. And unfortunately, the federal government controls the criminal code. I'll do everything in my power to exercise, the rights of the people, the charter rights of the people, instead of the charter rights of these criminals that continue being let out of jail. So we're going to streamline these court cases. We're going to get it out there, and there's going to be accountability right from the judges all the way down. So as you can tell, and then, it's not just me. You talk to anyone. This country's changed big time in the last 5 years, but we need to get back to our roots by being proud Ontario, proud Ontarians, proud Canadians, because enough is enough of these criminals. I'd lock them up and throw the key away. We're going to have to build more jails, by the way, Michael.
What do you think, guys? Is this going to make a difference? We need real change in this country in order to keep the public safe. Leave your comments in the comments section. Absolutely genius. An account called Concerned Pigeon created a song using the comment section of floor crosser Marilyn Gladu and Mark Carney's press release. This is the way that Canada heals. Canada, we need a whole lot more of this in order to get through each day. This is pure comic relief. Let's go.
Please quit and give up your pension. Your mailbox is full, so I couldn't leave a message. Nice mullet you got. How big was the check? What a sly fox. She follows the money. Judas Gladu. She follows the money. Judas Gladu. She follows the money. Judas Gladu. Say one thing, but do another. NASCAR jackets with the Brookfield sponsor. A bunch of fucking cheating bastards. Thank you for proving there's no point. What does she trade? Is it anything good? Canada for cash, taxes up again. Aren't you a hypocrite? Easy tiger, business in the front. CCP, party in the back. You are rotten to the core, lady. What is the point? Who do you think you represent? I can't even say what I think. Full of deceit to join the liberal party of the CCP. This is the message to teach our kids. Laughable now. Mark Carnage showed you cross the floor. Please tell me how you can keep your seat next year, NDP. Traitor. Disgusting dirtball revote now. I voted PC, not liberal. She just joined the WEF. Kearney and China, you should practice what you preach. Enjoy your last term. Democracy has fallen. The reactions to your post at waffle ratio. Celebrating, this is wild. You should be fired. Dictator carnage. I've been wanting higher costs and less freedoms. How do you sleep at night? It's called treason. This is the best psyop ever. More like a movie, like everything scripted. I'm equal parts confused, shocked and a skeptic, right? Central casting. Liberals have literally taken Canada a decade backwards.
An absolute masterpiece. What do you think, guys? I think this was perfectly done. We need to start copying and pasting the entire comment section and making songs out of it. Maybe we'll be able to survive one more day. Remember, Canada's set to get 49,000 BYD cars from China? Well, this morning, a BYD factory has gone up in flames in Shenzhen, China. I wonder if Mark Carney's going to hold a press conference on this. Look at all that smoke. I'm sure that there is no CO2 coming off of this fire. Holy moly, the entire thing is up in smoke. It looks like a parkade filled with vehicles is on fire. Like I said, I wonder if the Liberals are going to hold a press conference relating to this issue. I know many Canadians are extremely disappointed that Mark Carney was able to obtain a majority government through floor crossers, something that has never occurred in Canadian history. But there is a silver lining. There is some good news in all this. Before, he could blame Pierre Poilievre. He could blame the Bloc Québécois. He could blame other parties for obstructing the Liberal plan. But now that he has this majority, he has made some bold promises to Canadians, and all of it will fall on Mark Carney now that he has his majority. Check out this news press release.
What a truly historic moment this is in Canadian politics and what the Liberals have been able to achieve in the past year. Talk to me a little bit about that history and what the challenges are now moving forward for Mark Carney.
Yeah, we asked the Library of Parliament, has this ever happened before? Has the government been able to move from minority to majority territory through by-elections? And the answer was no. So this is historic, to your point. This is a combination of by-elections and floor crossing, and there's a little bit of that occurred in 1921, but really this is unprecedented. And now, very rightly, as you pose it, the question turns to what does the government do with this majority? And I think I'll be looking tomorrow at an announcement that the Prime Minister is scheduled to make to see some evidence of that, right? What do you intend to do that is different from what Canadians have experienced over the last year? And how do you intend, I think this is the most important question, to use your majority to deliver on the sky-high promises you have made over the last year and through the last campaign? The Prime Minister himself has characterized those promises as ambitious, the most ambitious in generations. Delivering on them, there is no ability now to say, oh, the opposition stopped us, or there was, games being played in the House of Commons, and therefore we couldn't. There's no one else to blame. And so I think Canadians will, over the passage of some time, focus very much on the execution part of all of this, and the majority will very much factor in.
You mentioned ambition. Sometimes ambition does take time, sometimes several election cycles. What can Mark Carney look at in the short term to be able to deliver wins to Canada and Canadians on things like cost of living?
So the cost of living is definitely something that's immediately important to Canadians, and I think we might see some price relief, for example, around the cost of gas right now in the next little while. But I'm focused on other stuff too, because yes, a lot of what he's promised does take time, but some of it doesn't. You can complete the review on F-35s. You can decide what you're going to do with the Gripens. You can decide on a whole number of defense procurement contracts. You can also decide on a pipeline as soon as the submission comes in from Alberta, which is supposed to be any month now, right? So there are a lot of things that are not actually 5 or 10 years down the road, that are probably just a number of months down the road, that will now be, the decisions on those will be cast in a different way and under a different level of scrutiny than they would have been should a minority have been the case. It's a majority. You don't have things holding you back. So what are you going to do?
The pressure cooker has been set, Canada. We're all going to be looking at Mark Carney, and if he doesn't move at unimaginable speeds now that he has his majority, Canadians will lose patience quick. Mark Carney announced he's removing the excess tax on fuel, reducing the price by 10 cents a liter.
We all know that because of the war with Iran, fuel prices have increased sharply around the world, including right here in Canada. So we're taking more action to help build that bridge over short-term pressures. With the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Natural Resources, we're announcing today that Canada's new government will temporarily suspend the federal fuel excise tax from next Monday until Labor Day. We're also removing the fuel excise tax on aviation fuels. This will remove up to 10 cents per liter on gasoline and 4 cents per liter on diesel fuel. Combined with our earlier elimination of the consumer carbon tax, our government will have reduced fuel prices on gas by up to 28 cents per liter. That's real relief for you and your family at the end of the day.
Real relief? Okay. Mark Carney posted this, and I made a comment on his post. Here's Mark Carney's post. It got nearly 500,000 views, and here's my comment right here. Thank you so much, Pierre Poilievre, for your leadership, helping make life more affordable in Canada. Without you, we'd still be paying the carbon tax and excess tax. You just saved Canadians 28 cents a liter at the pump. Keep fighting for Canadians to make life more affordable. And table salt here, wasn't this Pierre's idea? Your career is just stealing his ideas. Like I said, thank you, Pierre. If it weren't for him, these liberals would be charging us even more for gasoline, guaranteed. And you're not going to believe this. Today at the press conference, Mark Carney was asked, did you remove the excess tax on gasoline because of Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives? He actually said, no, it was my idea. Here is April 13th of all the times the Conservatives asked them, just remove these taxes. Then we get to see Mr. Carney himself.
Will the Liberal government commit today to dropping the 25 cents per litre tax on gas for the remainder of the year so Canadians are not punished while this Liberal government profits?
Will we implement our plan to get rid of all fuel taxes federally to save Canadians $1,200 at the pump? Yes or no?
So will the Liberals help Canadians adopt our Conservative plan and just cut the taxes?
Hear. Why won't this Prime Minister adopt our Conservative plan and reduce the gas tax?
Liberal taxes have turned a bad situation into a tax grab for the government. Will they adopt the Conservative plan and suspend all of those gas taxes today?
We're announcing today that Canada's new government will temporarily suspend the federal fuel excise tax from next Monday until Labor Day.
On the gas tax,
Yes.
did you get this idea from the Conservatives?
No.
And will you continue to lean on the opposition for ideas now that you have a majority?
Let me. No is the answer. The short answer to your first question.
Can you believe it? He actually said no. It was all my idea. That's fine. Steal all of Pierre's ideas and claim that they're your own, but keep on doing it. We need some real relief. There was a House of Commons session today. I'm only going to provide you the #1 clip from today's session. Check this out. It is absolutely hilarious. Peak hypocrisy. Well, we're going to take a look and talk about it.
Liberals' gas change amounts to what is really chump change. It's only for a third of the year for a third of the tax. It's not relief when you barely save 10 cents a litre on gas and 4 cents a litre on diesel. It's not relief when you still have to pay the GST and the Liberal fuel tax. Canadians are going to get back pennies. Meanwhile, the Liberals are collecting billions of dollars in federal gas tax revenue. Why the half measure? Why not adopt the Conservative plan to remove all the Liberal taxes on fuel, on diesel and gas?
Right on.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Look, in addition to all this good news, Mr. Speaker, I want to highlight one additional measure the Prime Minister and my colleagues announced today, and that is that Canadians are going to find it less expensive to get out and travel around the country this summer because we are lowering the excise tax on jet fuel, Mr. Speaker. We are going to reduce domestic flights, the cost of domestic flights. We will even go visit the member in Foothills, Mr. Speaker.
Wow.
Get out and enjoy et vive le Canada, Monsieur le Président.
The Honourable Member for Foothills.
Incredible how the Liberals could twist themselves in pretzels. When it wasn't that long ago, they were accusing all Conservatives of taking a summer vacation while the planet burned. And now they're saying we can travel around the world.
Yeah.
It's not a benefit. When the Liberals are pocketing billions of dollars in gas tax revenue right from the pockets of Canadians who are struggling just to buy the basics.
Yep. Right.
Why do the Liberals take these half measures? Why don't they really follow a Conservative policy and eliminate all of the Liberal taxes on fuel so Canadians can afford that summer vacation we'd all love to take?
You know, I can't believe it because last year they said if we went on a summer holiday, that action would result in the entire planet going up into flames. And this year they're saying, oh, we're reducing these taxes so that you could take a flight or go and take your family on a vacation. What happened? What happened in just 12 months? This is unbelievable. It's almost as if they think Canadians have a memory of a goldfish. That's it for today's report. What do you think about that university thing? I'm actually speechless about that. And I'm just so happy about this viral video that with the song. It was so good. Hopefully it made you smile today. I'd love to hear from you in the comments section. I'll see you on the next report.